Hey friends, this is the Prepared Suburbanite. I want to show you my new toy that I just picked up for my workshop. This is not going to be your standard tool review, unboxing kind of a thing. What I searched high and low for all over, from the DeWalt website to YouTube videos, I'm trying to find out exactly how much space this DeWalt compound double bevel miter saw, sliding miter saw, how much real estate this really takes up in my shop. So stick around, let me get this thing set up so that we can take a good close look at it, length, width, depth, and the throw. So here it is, out of the box. One of the best shipping boxes I think I've seen. DeWalt's really gone out of its way. Some of the earlier videos I saw just had this thing sitting in the box with some cardboard ribs that kind of went across it to keep it from sliding back and forth inside the box. This one came with molded styrofoam in the base. Then this thing was set in there. It was all covered in a big plastic bag. The accessories were in separate plastic bag. The instructions, this doodad here, which we'll get into in a second. A lot of the other stuff all fit together and was compartmentalized with a styrofoam cover that went on the top. And the thing arrived, it was absolutely unscathed, untouched. No damage whatsoever. This is the DWS 779. The difference between this and the DWS 780 is that this does not have the shadow light that goes in the thing and casts down on here. It's not the 790 because this is strictly AC. The 790 uses both AC and the FlexVolt system. But that was a budget buster for me. This one came in, found a really good deal on Amazon with it. Used some points on my credit card to kind of keep the cost down a little bit. And here it is. It came in unscathed. Got it out of the box. Got it set up here on this temporary setup because I really wanted to see, and I think I owe it to the YouTube community because I couldn't find it, what the dimensions of this beast really are. Yeah, you can get the specifications from the DeWalt website. That's not a problem. But how much space does this monster take up if you're going to want to use it in a typical small workshop setup? How big is that throw when you're doing that? How wide does it need to be? That's what I want to measure because I couldn't find anything that really nailed that down. So here we go. This is now set at the 45-degree angle, and I think this is the way it came in the box so that it would fit in the box. So that's at 45 degrees. It's very simple to change. That's it at 90 degrees. And then you've got the throw. And what I couldn't find anywhere was what this measurement distance was from the very back of the dust collector bag to the very front of the handle. And what I found is that at minimum, it's 53 inches. Most of my workbench space is at 28 inches. So that's going to require a different kind of a setup. I can't set this thing up on a standard workbench. I'm going to have to be a little bit more creative, either building specialized sawhorses for it or breaking down and spending the extra $200 on the prescribed miter saw stand that comes from DeWalt. They got two different styles of that. They've got one with straight legs on it that's more of a kind of a permanent looking thing, and the other is collapsible, foldable, and on wheels, so it's a mobile miter saw stand. I'd be more inclined to go with the mobile so that I can move it around here, use it in the shop, use it out here in the driveway, use it out back while I'm rebuilding the shed, those kinds of things. So, but I'm a little bit concerned about all the additional costs now to build this in. It's a much bigger unit than I thought it was going to be. So that front to back distance is 53 inches fully extended all the way back, including the dust bag. So, but from the mounting brackets, from the front of the mounting brackets here to the back, it's 42 inches. 42 inches, but that's still much larger than my standard 28-inch workbench tabletop. So, still going to have to construct something unique, something proprietary maybe, or buy the prescribed DeWalt miter saw stand. From the width from side to side, just the base is 25, but on either side, down here and over on this side, are flairs that are like for carrying handles. Those add about a ½ an inch on either side, so your full throw is going to be 25 plus an inch, so you've got 26 inches. That's just for the base. The width extended with these wings here, all the way out here and over on this side, that measures out to about 41 inches. In fact, I don't even have it fully extended, so you may need to plan for 43 to 45 inches if you want to have a little bit of room in there to work. The base is 25 across, like I just said, and 14 and a quarter from front to back on just the mounting base. Does not include what's happening up front here. So if you need to mount it, you're going to have about 10.5 inches of extra in the front here. There's two sets of mounting pre-drilled holes in the base. There's a big one and a little one. The distance between the two, you got 25 to outside on the bigger holes, and 20 7/8, maybe 21 on the inside holes. And those seem to be designed more for maybe a 3-inch deck screw, something like that, if you just wanted to temporarily attach it to a sawhorse or piece of plywood on a sawhorse, something like that. So for a temporary mount, these other ones look to be designed for a little bit more permanent, where you could actually use threaded bolts in there with nuts and washers to really secure it down that way. So, and the height, fully extended up this way, you're going to need a good 27 inches, and that's just to the top of the handle. If you want to get your knuckles in there, you're going to want to give yourself a little bit more room. So if you've got cabinetry that's sitting above where you want to mount this, make sure you've got enough room going up there so that you can get your hand in on this to bring this down. Those are the measurements, the critical measurements that I wanted to cover. The other thing that I did was to square it up and make sure that it was true. And let me walk through a couple of things with that. So to check to see if it was true and square coming right out of the box, once you get everything all put together, you get it set up, you should be able to push this down and set a good square right up against there and test it. This one was just it was about 3 degrees off. And when I went back to check to see if there was anything loose or whatever, there is an adjustment that drives the one of the angles in the compound setup that was a little bit loose. And I think it made the thing tip just a couple of degrees, maybe 3, while it was in shipping, or it may have never been tightened at all, and that's just the way it fit in the box, or it had to be deliberate maybe to fit in the box. But once I figured out what was loose, and I used my trusty grandpa's square, it came right into being. I checked it for 45 on both sides of the blade, and it was spot on. So I was pretty pleased with that. For the type of work that I'm going to be doing, accuracy is pretty important, but it doesn't have to be 110%. I can get away with just a tiny bit of variation, and I know that this is adjustable because this gauge on this ring down here does have a way to adjust it for trueness. I don't think I'm going to need to, because it came almost perfectly square right out of the box, and just a little bit of an adjustment to make sure it was true, it worked out pretty darn good. So I was pretty pleased with it. So here's why that throw distance is so important. This is the saw all the way forward. You're going to bring the handle down to make the cut, and then you're going to want to push it back like this to get through the wider boards, like a 1x12, 2x10, something like that. And when you throw this back, that grows in distance quite a bit. Almost, well actually, 53 inches with the bag attached. So you got to have enough room for all that clearance, and then a little bit more just for safety. Well, I hope a few of you anyway found that this was somewhat helpful in trying to make a decision on which kind of a miter saw setup that you're going to want to need. I purchased this to replace probably a 15-year-old, 18-year-old Black & Decker that I picked up that many years ago, brand new, and I've built all kinds of things with it, and it's still running pretty good. I've got to check with a couple of friends and family to see if there's any need for me to pass that along to deserving friends or family, and if not, it's probably just going to go in this spring's rummage sale, and we'll see what kind of a price I can get. I'm not going to give it away. I in fact just bought a new blade for it about 6 months ago, so that's kind of the way it is. But I don't think I spent more than $125 for it 15 or 20 years ago, so that's kind of the way it is. This new DeWalt is going to be a real lifesaver, and it's such a blessing. I think from my personal standpoint, it's such a blessing to be retired, to have done the planning necessary to be able to live comfortably after retirement, and have a little extra cash flow that's coming in, so that allows me to fulfill certain of my lifetime goals. And one of those goals was to have a really functional woodworkers type shop. Now, I'm not a finished carpenter. I've actually worked in the trade as a carpenter, rough framing, home remodeling, those kinds of things that I've done years ago. But I always wanted to have a real shop, and you know, you got the right kind of tools, you can do a much better job. So I'm thrilled with this purchase. Still got to decide on how I'm going to set it up so that in my little one-bay garage-sized shop, it's going to be functional. It's going to be easily moved from inside to outside to certain job sites that I may have around the homestead or here at the up at our bug out location. So I've still got to address that, and right now I'm leaning towards the mobile DeWalt miter saw stand. It's $199 plus tax at the local big box Home Depot store, I think. And I think I can get it for $197.51 or something from Amazon. So there's really not much price difference, and I'd have the advantage of being able to look at it and see it and all that kind of, and touch it and feel it at the Home Depot store. So that's probably what I'm going to do, and that's probably worth the extra $1.50 on the savings there. So we'll see. I'm going to go take a look at it. If not, then if it doesn't really fit the bill, it is kind of a budget buster for me, at least at this point in time. So I may end up building some custom sawhorses, saw ponies for it that can allow some kind of mobility inside the shop, outside the shop, that kind of, we'll see how it works out. This is the Prepared Suburbanite, reminding you to be prepared always, and I hope to see you all on the next video.